I think we have a fairly easy delay here against this opponent, where he's been just check folding an awful lot, and we don't need to go bigger. We actually get some value with this hand from a hand like king, queen, jack, and he hits all of them, and now he donks, and then we just fold, so like no problem. But yeah, I mean, he's probably got queen, jack, king, queen here, is what I'm going to guess. Or 7-6 suited. Okay, or that. It could be that, sure. Yeah, I'd say the low stakes, the difference between the sites is less noticeable. At the high stakes, there's definitely more regs, fewer recreationals is probably a better description. Fewer recreationals at party. At the low stakes, I would say they're fine with both, you know, because at the $5 games, the line between a kind of professional and recreational is kind of blurred, because it's quite hard to make a living just playing $5 games, right? You'll get a much broader spectrum of complete beginners to fairly experienced players. Whereas at the 50s plus, I think it's more a kind of big group of people who all play it full time, and then another group of that spectrum, if you like. I am a big ISO big guy. Serious question, do you use the ISO big? Do you coach people to use ISO big in Team 6-1? I mean, it's obviously part of a lot of solvers, and it is definitely coached within 6-1. We do some sessions on big ISOs, for example, and looking at the post flop spots. It's interesting because I think the post flop spots in big ISOs will run, at least on the flops, perhaps. Well, that's not actually, I'm saying an untrue statement. But they'll certainly be very, very different to how they'll be in game, based on people's lack of balance, both as the heads up small blind and heads up big blind. What we'll just have to check fold, I think. But I think the big ISOs, what I would say is that they're not a necessity. So they can definitely be good in certain situations. But for example, I never used them until like a couple of years ago, and my win rate score is fine, and you don't suddenly magic yourself to massive great win rate just with tons of extra things. Oh, Story's streaming. Oh, cool. We've got him on our stream. Happy days. Well, Odachi Drug to Mr. Story. Or Jam 7 against Flacco. Tell him good luck from us, Vatnik. Hopefully he's running well. But yeah, I think big ISO can definitely the play. The question is, like, is it worth having a balanced range? Is it worth being a bit more exploitative and using more bluffs, more value against which opponent types, at which stack depths? Because obviously it's a big difference when you're using them at 25 BB or 10 BB or whatever. You know, there's differences there. There's lots of little nuances. And there's also different sizes as well. So there's the big ISO in terms of like the normal solver, which is 1/3 ISO. But there's also on GTO base the kind of like big ISO, which is 6.5x at like 25 bigs, which creates a really weird 1.5 to 1 SPR, which a lot of people aren't so comfortable with, because a lot of people take the approach of, I'll just big ISO and then I'll just jam flops kind of thing, which is it's not always correct. There's a lot of flops that's probably a suboptimal strategy. But yeah. Ace 10 says, in the King Jack hand, if you think he underbluffs, why not just fold flop or turn? It's a good question. The problem on the flop is we have really good implied odds. So like it's Ace 10 King and we have King Jack, and so we can still hit a King, a Jack, a Queen, and there's a lot of chips behind us, right? And so if we hit a King, we're probably gonna get a lot more chips off an Ace. If we hit a Queen, we have the nuts. If we hit a Jack, we're going to freeze the action, or we'll have the best hand or something. So we can't really fold flop. It would also be ridiculously exploitative to fold like second pair, gut shot, straight draw, and a good kicker on the flop in position. So I don't think we can fold flop. The turn he bets a bit smaller. So like he bet 6 on the flop, and then he bet 5.8 on the turn. So he bet full pot on the flop, and then he bet less than 1/3 on the turn. So the bet on the turn, we're just basically calling because we have outs. And he maybe sometimes gives up river, is what we're hoping for. But mainly it's because we can still maybe hit a king. If he's got a straight, for example, if he's got Jack Queen, which is part of his range, we still have an out against. We have a couple of outs actually. We can hit the king or the ace, for example. And I'd tell you what, we're going to use the big sizing because everyone's talking about it, right? Big sizing. Just for the beast. That is a handle you can use sometimes, which I think a lot of people don't use that. Star has the reg tag, of course. So he comes in with an ISO nominal in. We're just going to start with a call. No real information about his ISO strategy. Jack A5. Start with a check. Should we bet or check? I quite like a small bet here. If we check jams, obviously that sucks, but I mean, we do have a lot of equity. It would really suck to get check jammed on. Maybe we'll start with check. That is our friend who has just followed us. Archangel UK, thank you very much for the follow. We have a tough decision here. I think I might just jam this rather than allow him just to realize equity of King 9, King 10, Queen 9, etc., clubs, diamonds. I think we're just going to jam. If it bricks off, we're going broke anyway, so I think jamming makes sense. Yes, we miss out a little bit on some bluffs, but we were going broke against Queen 5, and I think that's fine. I don't think he'll have complete airball bluffs there either. Nice hand for Mr. Storrow. Not much we could do. Maybe. I shouldn't say that. I have quite a... We should always think about that a little bit. Could we have done something different? I don't think so. But it's always good to just, like, consider. The thing about big size, and I never see a flop. The beast responds very sensitive. Oh, just do it with 7-2 off then. That's it. That's it. If you want to do it, never see a flop. Yeah, happy days then, right? So Monty was the kind of crazy guy that we played. Well, then he went crazy and then he went kind of passive-y is what he did. So I think we'll go for a bet here. C bet seems pretty sensible. Man like Freak 1 in the house. Hello, Freak 1. Spasiba. Udachi Drug. Hope all is well. Monty's kind of straightforward, he was, at least in some of the other pots. So we're going to start with a check, and then I think we have a fairly easy delay here against this opponent, where he's been just check folding an awful lot, and we don't need to go bigger. We actually get some value with this hand from a hand like King, Queen, King, Jack, Queen, Jack, and he hits all of them, and now he donks, and then we just fold, so, like, no problem. But, yeah, I mean, he's probably got Queen, Jack, King, Queen here, is what I'm going to guess. Or 7-6 suited. Okay. Or that. It could be that, sure. Interesting non-probe. Like, I think it's a very easy probe. I would typically probe that. So, like, again, he's a little bit on the maybe more passive side, perhaps, Monty. The problem when you check call with that 7-6 is exactly that river comes in, like, oof. Donk would have worked really well. I would have folded to donk, so. I think with the big sizings, it puts you in a lot of wowub spots. What's a wowub spot? There is some logic to not taking a high variance spot if you're playing recreationals, for example, or trying to chip EV maximize. Then avoiding those situations. I will say we haven't, like, the evidence suggests big ISOs definitely do slightly better than small ISOs with the same hands types. So, like, obviously taking the Ace King, 7-2, etc., etc. And it seems to outperform smaller sizings with both of those hand types. But in theory, I mean, the sample that's based on limited sample sizes, and even a guy who's been doing it for 2 years will probably have limited sample size. You need someone like Freak to give you a good sample there, I think. And also have a good sample of doing both, right? Not just the big sizing, but also the small sizing. Then being able to compare would be best. So we got top pair against Monty. We saw him be very passive with the 7-6 suited, so I don't think it makes sense to, like, check and trap with his hand. So we're just going to go 3.2. Hopefully he's hit something. It's pretty hard to miss this from the button. But he does. Maybe small is an option. I don't think he folds a gut shot. Maybe he does though. Maybe he folds King 10, no problem. Who knows? Oh, way ahead, way behind. Thank you, The Beast. That's a new acronym I've now learned, thanks to you. I appreciate that. Always ready to learn, so that's nice. Yeah, you do end up with a lot of those. That's very, very fair. Salamagic is a Hungarian reg who plays all the time. So we say Shock Serenchetash. He's probably a bit upset about the football. So, poor guy. They were ahead twice, wasn't it? Yeah, limping might have been better. I'm going to go for an ISO here. There's a good, like, it's probably a deceptive flop. It's not actually that good, but it's good having a 5 deuce. You don't want to see bet too much if this is like an 8, Jack 8 or something, or an 8 ace 8-6 would be a lot worse than ace 5-2. We could probably use a bigger sizing here. That might have been a better option. And now we have a strange decision. I'm just going to block bet, to be honest, and still expect to get value from worse. It's pretty dumb, but I don't know how he can respond unless he wants to jam, bluff jam. Queen hearts comes, and that's kind of scary, right? Because he's got all the flushes. Unless he jams on the flop, which I don't think he would always. So we just check range, basically, and pray that he gives up. I don't think we ever win this, though. Unless we want to check call. And what hands do we want to check call against? It would have to be like offsuit 4 or 3x that he has a heart with. That's very, very slim amount of combinatorics. I mean, we're looking at, like, does he really limp call with jack 3 off? No. So, does he bluff out a heart here? Probably not. So, I think we just fold. I don't know. I think with the king 9, with the ISO hand, I would have liked to have c-bet bigger. I think that would have been the way to go. Everything else is fine. Turns a bit, and river, I mean, what are we going to do? Like, we have aces there. But... So, Andreas Spam we played with in 2 days ago. Okay. He's played 1,000,000 hands. Oh, yeah, we played him on Monday in the stream. Okay, an 8-3-2. Not the best board for us. But we do have a decent hand to c-bet. I think we'll go for it. We're not really going to be able to call. I mean, every turn is just shitty for us, so... And to be honest, I might just fold here. He is quite aggressive, though. Because we're so deep, 2 to win 8 is already 25%, and then hitting a 2 or a king is going to be great for us. Any predictions for the Euro winner? Germany, or the Netherlands, or Portugal, or Spain, or France? I've narrowed the field to that. That's right. Or Sweden. One of those. Very, very, very... Slimmed it down a lot, you can see there. I've really gone very, very slim. George is making a prediction. It will be the winner from the match of England-Germany. I was looking at the brackets, right, and so it looks very good if you're on that side of the table and you win that match, doesn't it? It's like, cool. You know, we're pretty comfortable then. Alright, queens, we're going to go 3x. We did 7x as well the hand before because we went for the 1/3 with ace queen off, which is pretty standard. We take queens here, king 9-6, rainbow. Do we want to check? I think I do. He does have some king x in his limp call range. And ace comes. I actually think we can go for 2 streets of value now, weirdly enough. Because I think of how unlikely I think you actually have an ace and how much you'll call with a 9 or a 6. So I think we go for 2 streets. It's thin. I think it makes sense though. I think 4.9 is going to be great. I think he calls jack 9 or king 10. Ouch. Problem is we're going to lose 2 streets anyway against king. Like we just face up to that. So when he checks flop, interesting. Yeah, I mean definitely fine to check as well sometimes, but I think it's fine the turn. I mean we probably lost less than if we check either street because we're going to check cool. But yeah, we'll see. But this 5 of spades is a pretty good blocker to have. Everybody in their respective countries immediately puts a bet on their country to win. Whoa, I misclicked. That's annoyed me. I was thinking and I misclicked. Maybe this will work. Now, weirdly enough, it's not actually the end of the world because if he ISO bluffs, he's probably going to fold some. And now we've got a pair, and what are we doing? We just jam? Deny equity? Ah, I didn't mean to misclick this, but I guess we'll just jam. Well, no snap's good. I was thinking, and accidentally we won that hand. I accidentally clicked the return button, and apparently that just clicked it back, so... Misclick. I'm a professional, apparently, so... Well done, me. What was I saying? So, before I played that hand read badly, I was talking about plus EV bets. Such as that one. No. This is a lovely, lovely turn to donk lead on. Ah, it's just donkey small. So we really have massive range advantage now because we have all the 5-2 off, we have all the flushes, etc, etc. So that turn is probably one of the few unpaired turn. He's also going to bet just range on that flop, most likely. And we actually can bet that hand as a kind of value slash build a pot slash protection slash everything. And it can be just really good. So I don't know if he has a donkey range on a 9-7 ace. He did snap call, which makes me feel like he's less 9x weighted and certainly no ace-x. So I think we could go for just a bet and expect quite a few folds by the river. Maybe sizing up even bigger would have been an option. It's kind of thing because we only have 9x for value. But I mean, he will just fold his let's say backdoor diamonds. He shoves. Interesting shove. I mean, maybe this is just a combo draw in terms of like a flush draw or something, but I mean, what are we going to do? We've blocked some of the flush draws, which is the hands he might have shoved. Kind of surprised if he has a 9 there. Maybe he does. We'll jam a7. Yeah. I mean, what else are we going to do? So he didn't. He may not have donked a 9x before, which means we have to be a bit cautious about giving him. He may have more 7x in his range. Queen hearts is not great either. I think we're just going to go check and hopefully win. We're just folding a few bets, to be honest. We lose to a very small frequency of flush draws. I think he's probably got a jack. Do we ever want to try and make him fold a jack by potting here? The problem is I'm not 100% confident. And I mean, he may have king eye or something. I mean, yeah, okay. We'll jam a6. We'll be calling off, they say. Good luck, good luck. Andrea did the same thing before. I think he's an MTT reg or something. Because he does these 95% get your chips in and then leaves himself a big blind behind. Just in case any ICM considerations pop up in the heads up spin and go that we're in. Alright, alright. And that is GG.